hundreds and hundreds of people are running like mad after something that they call that is success, and they have no idea what it is. So in exactly the same way, the guru is keeping you running and running after spiritual attainment. You don't know what you want. This is where Krishnamurti is so clever. Because he says, if you ask me for enlightenment, how can you ask me for enlightenment? If you don't know what it is, how do you know you want it? Is that any concept you have of it will be simply a way of trying to perpetuate the situation you're already in. If you think you know what you're going out for, all you're doing is you're seeking the past, what you already know, what you've already experienced. Therefore, that's not it, is it? Because you say you're looking for something quite new. But what do you mean new? What's your conception of something new?
Law. I wanted to speak in reference to the New Age idea, the like new. What is new? Like that last Alan Watts quote said. Like, what is new? There is new is an illusion. It's something that's made up. But today, when you understand like the New Age movement, you can see it's an entire community. You have entire people who generate ideas of themselves. You have relationships that are based upon the New Age, whatever that is. You have a movement based upon the New Age. And I've spoken on this in the past in other videos, so I'm not going to go too much into my feelings on that that sort of thought pattern, but you can tell from my tone if this is one of your first videos from how I feel about that nonsense and how it's being utilized to sell in a new style of thinking at the expense, a new control grid at the same time, at the expense of demonizing and destroying the old. What is considered old only because you've created something largely alongside of the evolution theory to maintain some sort of stature or importance over that which came before us. This is like the formalized style of separating from your ancestors and creating an external universe of that which is infinite. This is what the NASA program is. This is what the ancient aliens, the extraterrestrial alien agenda is. This is what transhumanism is. And the entire synthetic system, the plastic universe, is based upon externalizing your power, for lack of a better word, but your infinite reality, your blending of both the finite, which is your body that is appearing as alive and that will pass on, will die, which is just another birth, and then but your soul will never die. There's no drug or no weapon on the earth plane that can kill a soul. It will never die. You can be trapped in mentalities. You can be trapped in illusions. You can be trapped in ideas that have been generated by illusionists to make you think a certain way. This is what NASA and the scientism world is. This is even what the New Age, if you ask me, this is what the New Age is. It's a giant trap. Instead of with fear and destruction, like the military-industrial complex, that's just another trap to make you feel safe, to make you feel secure, to make you feel like hopeful, to make you feel like something is for you that's bigger than you. We have to grab onto something. There has to be something in front of us, behind us to validate who we are right now. That's the old design. That's the old design of trying to figure out who and what we are. It's based upon the external realm. And we never, there's a quote from Krishnamurti that said, what did he say? It fits it perfectly. He said, it's like you want the answers before you know the question, and you want the ending before you even begin. So that was Jiddu Krishnamurti. If people don't know who that is, he was actually the individual that Alan Watts was quoting in the video, the little clip that I played before I started talking in this video. But that's true for everybody, and that essence of locking you into the physical reality, because it's so believable, as it can be believed as you're only you. So this is what the university system is, and in order to maintain that sort of that system, low vibrating energies from the emotional body and so on and so forth need to be manipulated, like fear and destruction and separation and guilt and grief and all of the lower body energies that keep you wanting to be safe, needing to be safe. So you need protection, you need security, because you are internally and externally insecure. Because we are internally and externally insecure, we have no security in our everlasting essence. The insecurity is anchored in a fear of death, a fear of separation, a fear of rejection, a fear of grief, a fear of guilt, a fear of any of the low vibrations that get promoted by the system that mean to maintain that control grid. And how I've been explaining what the various layers of who and what we are, from the soul to the mind to the body, and how things manifest first in the soul, then to the mind, then to the body, and how the mind control program is just a manifestation of the soul control program. So this is a spiritual warfare. In that tone, in that perspective, the Gnostics actually, to take it a step further, because I've actually been speaking in reference to the subconscious and the conscious reality of the balances of this realm. And in light of realizing the downfalls and the mind controls of the globe model and the heliocentric model, externalizing your infinity, it externals the reason why your infinite soul essence, your Akashic record, is completely destroyed, is because you can be manipulated and controlled if the you that you think you are is only based upon this body, this experience, this physical realm. And in a sense, back to that quote, you have already made the decision. You are literally the ending. You are the living ending, which is forever ending and forever beginning. And if you really want to see it, that's just the beginning, is actually understanding who you are. But we don't get to ask that question, because those questions have been manipulated and flipped and reversed and turned into something like a mainstream religion, or the university system, or NASA, the Big Bang, the evolutionism. Everything has been fabricated for us. It's been packaged in this tight little Lunchable and you just eat it for the rest of your life. So you never truly understand who and what you are, because previous generations before you have said, well, this is what you are, this is what you're about, and this is all the only thing you need to focus on. And this is what, like, Ancient Aliens is. Ancient Aliens is designed to pick and choose perspectives from the ancient cultures and civilizations that validate their technological and alien agenda perspectives of the government and the so-called future of this, from this synthetic foundation, from this broken foundation. They're not looking at the ancient cultures to understand who and what they were and how they thought and how they were. They are looking and promoting perspectives only to back up what their theories are. Their ancient astronaut theorists profess. That's what they're using this stuff for. So since it locks into something that you read in another book or heard in another article or something like that, you actually believe what they are saying. So they actually give a foundation of credibility to groups like the New Age. And this is how intricate this system is. Like, NASA just doesn't work on its own. NASA, so like Ancient Aliens, NASA, like Ancient Aliens has the New Age community. NASA has the university system. So you can see how that holds the foundation for them. They work hand in hand and adjust around each other. And NASA also works hand in hand with the ancient alien agenda. So it's all one big mind control program. And you can tie in even Oprah and her network and how she's involved in the New Age mentality when she's inviting people like Eckhart Tolle, Deepak Chopra, and all these other people on Super Soul Sunday onto her network. That's to validate the mainstream mentality and personality and connection, which is really just a disconnection. The same way that Trump validates Alex Jones and Alex Jones validates Trump because they team up. And Bernie Sanders does the same thing with TYT, and TYT does it to Bernie Sanders, and so on and so forth. When you have celebrities going on the mainstream news and laughing and joking with all these politicians and all these, people, it makes you believe in the system. So as long as you believe in the system, that inherently creates your belief in your artificial self. So when I had been speaking on the conscious and the subconscious, that's really how I'm seeing it now, is basically just the balances of the divine feminine and the divine masculine. So this is the balances of nature in the experience. So the linear perspective of the masculine design could be like the beginning and the ending. The linear program of like the physical experience, the structure, that can be seen as the divine masculine. The divine feminine can be the material realm, the entire realm itself, the everlasting, the realm of existence, the realm of the realm in which you have been birthed into this experience. So in order to have an experience, it's just like constantly creating. It's an infinite cycle. So you are birthing when a woman gives birth, she's giving birth to a divine masculine and divine feminine being that could possibly give birth to another one, another balance. She herself is a balance that made a connection with another balance to, you see where I'm coming from. So this is the cycle, and to see it from the conscious and the subconscious perspective, that balance of the divine masculine and the divine feminine is acted out literally in our experience when we have the linear slowed down version of time and the infinite space of consciousness. So when you're awake, you're walking around in time with the ability to make yourself out to be God or king or whatever it is that the ego wants to do, which is what this experience has done. Completely out of balance, buying into the one-sided patriarchal system reality, but still existing on the matriarchal realm. You can never escape that. So these are the balances. How I'm seeing, I'm just kind of throwing stuff all the way around now. And the way it's like keeps you believing in whatever the stories, the way it keeps you locked into the illusion is to amplify and expand the stories based upon the level of consciousness of the individual and the collective as a whole. So you have your consciousness, but there's also a collective consciousness of the people, like when you see everybody added up. So you have how far into illusion everybody is. How far are they buying into the NASA program, the globe model, the university system? How far have they shrunk their empowered essence, their fire? How much have they dampened out their fire in exchange for security from the so-called powers that be, who only mean to control and manipulate more insecurity that maintains their dominion over the masses. So this is how the entire essence, like the entire soul of humanity, gets manipulated. So there's that soul, that's that energy field, and that energy field is reflective of each individual who is either doing their work or not doing their work. And their work, by I mean you're always going to be doing your work, but when you are actually engaged in your work, that's a different world. That's the difference between being locked into the synthetic reality and getting on your soul path. So this is what I'm seeing. So individually that sends a shockwave through the human soul, the massive soul, and that's what really, those are the numbers that the so-called powers that be are paying attention to when they come out with TV shows like Ancient Aliens, when they come out with movements, so-called movements like the New Age, when they start putting Deepak Chopra and Eckhart Tolle on Oprah, because at one time they weren't able to do that because the level of consciousness would have been like, what the fuck are you doing? Like, we don't want to see this garbage. Same thing goes for like Hollywood. Hollywood made some ridiculous movies 10 and 20 years ago, but people believed it and were entertained in it, and it actually set the foundation of belief structures for systems like the NASA programming and the heliocentric model. Now you can see with movies like Star Wars, Star Trek, Stargate, the Passengers movies, Gravity, all these new movies, this high quality CGI, that shit just didn't just come out. Like the flat screen TV, that stuff didn't just come out. They released it. They are releasing this technology based upon the level of consciousness of the people to make you believe in the evolution theory. So just as much as you believe that you came from monkeys to who and what you are right now, the movement from these giant wooden heavy ass TVs to a regular old school TV, to a flat screen TV, to a curved TV, reinforces your belief in the evolution theory. So everything is a reinforcement of what the system needs you to believe in order to maintain the mind control program as a whole. And the education system is just a conditioning program for your children to do that for future generations. So this is how the so-called they can get 10 and 20 years out ahead of you. They can jump ahead of you by going to your children and locking your children into a manipulated mentality. This is why the system is crumbling so quickly now, is because these children are like, I don't want to be like a Donald Trump. I'm not going to buy all this shit. I want to know what's going on for myself. You have a lot of younger kids who are looking into the soul essence, and they're going through, a lot of them are being trapped. This is why the New Age program is existing, because it traps a lot of the younger kids. And you can see that the New Age is largely peopled with younger people, very young kids and young adults, and very older people. It's the people who can be easily trapped, because you have the people in between who are just like constantly moving in their late 20s or 30s or 40s or wherever it is, constantly questioning their reality. And that's what it's about. It's about questioning your reality. It's not about getting the answers. The new age movement is the answer for a lot of people. NASA, going to Mars, SpaceX, all that technology and transhumanism, that's the answer for people. And people are buying these answers and never questioning their reality. So they fill their lives up with all these answers instead of constantly expanding the journey. And that's when like people get attacked on on the comment section. Like when people start, coming at me about the flat earth realm and all that other stuff, I can never respond to them really, because I don't necessarily see it as the flat earth. I see this more as a realm, and it's not being a globe. And even that is open to interpretation as my life continues to go. But you can't, that's not a response for people like that, because they want the answers. They want your response. They want to tell you that you're wrong. And I'm like, I could be wrong. Yes, I'm not afraid of being wrong. The thing is, the reason why I cannot be afraid of being wrong is because I'm on an everlasting learning process, an everlasting journey. And whatever feels right on that journey will be added up to everything else that I've been piecing together that makes sense. Like the difference between reading something out of a book and intuitively feeling something or understanding something. You can't get everything out of books. You're not going to get everything out of listening to other people. The deepest answers that you're looking for come from the deepest questions that you can bring up in your reality. So the more you question your reality, the more you'll be able to answer whatever it is. And those answers are they only last for so long. They only last like for however long you need them, until something else, the larger, the expanded version of that reality comes into view. So like my answer 6 years ago, my answer for my journey was to get into the Occupy movement and start yelling at bankers and yelling at people who still believe in that system, and so on and so forth. 10 years ago, was it 17? Yeah, so 17 years ago, my answer for life and reality was to make a living, make money, and I didn't have any resources or anything. So right out of high school, I joined the army. That was my answer. And then I expanded out of that space from that experience, just like the Occupy movement. And from going from the Occupy movement to seeing that this is bigger than bankers. This is an actual spiritual warfare. So I had to question well, what is the spirit? Who am I? What am I? And then that's when I started to go into how deep this rabbit hole goes from a spiritual warfare perspective, as opposed to the depths of the rabbit hole from a fiat currency and all that other perspective. Mind you, all of these layers still exist simultaneously. They're all part of the giant rabbit hole that is the journey for you to find yourself. And when you find yourself, you're really only going to find yourself based upon a level of experience. Then you're going to pop into another experience. So this leads into, and that can be expanded all the way out until the entire life to death journey. But to stay within this realm, I wanted to add on to what I mentioned earlier about the Gnostics. Gnostics actually had, just like I created, or not created, but had been talking about the balances between the subconscious and the conscious reality within each individual. The Gnostics actually seen that there are entire groups of people who are locked into particular journeys. So just like you have the soul, the mind, and the body, you're going to have people who are on a body experience, people that are on a mind experience, people that are on a soul experience. And it's up to them to expand out of the body, the mind, and into the soul in order to understand their journey. And sometimes it can take an entire lifetime to get out of the body complex or the body consciousness. It can take an entire lifetime to get out of the mind consciousness and even understand what the spirit is. And that's the thing, when there's no comparison, in reference to the last video about hope. See, that hope mentality, for hope for humanity, that's still linear. It still exists inside a box, because we are more complex than that. You have billions of people in this experience, and you have all these different versions, different soul experiences that people are on, different journeys overall that people have chosen to experience in this reality. So yeah, some people are going to escape the mind control program. Some people will not. Some people will stay in the body complex. Some people will stay in the mind control program. It's based upon their choices, their level of consciousness overall, on the soul level. So we can only do so much with what we got. So you can share, the more you share your music, the more that will be able to help somebody else hear their own and play their own music. And that's what we're getting lost in, is the fact that we've been playing the mainstream pop music, consciousness, music/consciousness. We've been playing that story over and over and over again. That keeps us from understanding. This is how you trade freedoms for security. You trade yourself for the enslavement program, the illusion. You give away a lot of yourself, and it's easy. That's the trap. This is why this is no different than the experience itself. When you are born here, you are born into not remembering your entire reality, not knowing who and what you are, and you get locked into the physical reality with kindergarten, first grade, and so on and so forth. So the system just plays that role again. So when you so-called graduate from high school, that's just like being born again. Now you have to start over. You have to say, well, who am I? You're now not a kid anymore. You're an adult. What is an adult? What is it based upon? Well, it's based upon your parents, your peers, your television, your celebrities, your politicians, your leaders, and so on and so forth. So who are you? Well, I'm a little bit of this, I'm a little bit of that, I'm a little bit of that person, I'm a little bit of this person, I'm a little bit of that person. Never realizing who you actually are, because you need the ego, the artificial ego realm needs you to answer right now. You need to get to work, you need to get to school, you need to get married, you need to have kids, you need to have a house, you need to get your car, you need to be fucking successful. And you don't have time to be figuring out who you are and all that other hoopla. Get out of here with all that nonsense. What are you, like some religious quack or something? What's wrong with you? Like, this is how you're compartmentalized. You're beat down. So you're like, well, I'm not going to go into religion. That's crazy. And I'm not going to go into the spirituality because of the New Age. That's just crazy. And so they have the answers out there for you. And since you don't have the time, we're so busy, our clocks are manipulated, biological and spiritual clocks are manipulated, we just get locked into whatever the TV tells us. So the pop experience. And that's what is being broken right now, with information, with people reconnecting with their ancestors, with people reconnecting with their people, their family, their culture, their everything, their essence, their spirit. When people start to reconnect with that reality, that makes the entire system unstable, because people are starting to become secure with themselves and don't need the so-called protection of the insecurity expansion program that is the governments and all that other stuff. And this is why the government's moving to the so-called new world. They're trying to expand it to this so-called global mentality, because they're trying to make so-called global insecurity. So as long as you are, that's like that's some next level prison mind shit, to lock down the entire masses formally. But see, this is why it's seeming like it's taking so long or whatever it is because it can only move at the pace of consciousness. Like I said in the past, the consciousness of the people, the individuals, that is the shockwave of the collective human soul. That energy. Not from some new age perspective, just energetically. You have a soul. You are a soul in a body. So you're the soul that has a body. You are a soul. So that means that the human experience is a soul, if you add everybody up and see that as like a big color chart, a big energy chart. It's like, oh well, the chart going from the lowest vibrations of like fear and destruction and death and all that other stuff, and the highest ones are like how deeply you're connected to your soul journey, the most high, the love, the highest vibrations you can think of, compassion, empathy, so on and so forth. And some people don't have any compassion. Some people live off of apathy. Some people live off of fear and destruction. This is when you have like people who control other people, or people who, you see what I'm saying? That's the mentality of this control grid. And this is what this in between, you have the distraction grid, with stuff like Ancient Aliens, the New Age, NASA, simulation theory, and the tools that we use to steal our time, the tools that we use to distract us from our moments. Cannabis can be included in that reality. As beautiful as it is, as mind expanding as it is, anything can be manipulated to work against you. Like I said, if you were to smoke for 24/7 for 6 months, cannabis would take you'd have a different relationship. And it wouldn't even last 6 months. It wouldn't even last that long, because you'd have this longing to know who you are without being high. You want that space. You need that space, because that's who and what you are. So to take it to that's one way to see like what the tool actually is to take it to the extremes. And you don't have to actually do it. You can just imagine what that would feel like and what you'd be missing out on. So when you buy into just like when you buy into the Insecurity program, you're buying out of the soul essence. This is why people will forever be going back to their soul. So like I was saying, the differences in people. Some people energetically are on a soul journey. Some people energetically are on only a psychological, like a psychic journey. They're only there. They will max out there. They will live and die in the mind. Some people will live and so-called die in the materialistic body complex reality. There's nothing you can do about that, and there's nothing that you should want to do about that, because that's the experience that they have chosen to do. That's the level of consciousness that they have chosen to inhabit and to manifest into this reality as. And that's the balances overall. So there's those three balances of people, and simultaneously you have the balances of the conscious and the subconscious realm within each one of those individuals. So it's not just about finding the balances between the divine feminine and the divine masculine, connecting with your conscious purpose and meaning and your subconscious experience as a whole, but you have to also understand and let go of the fact that or let go of things like seeing that for that's the only way it is, because you have people who are only here to be experiencing the pop culture mainstream reality. They love it. There's people here that only want to experience their connection with the soul and so on and so forth from the church. They want that. They want that essence. There's like, if they lived to 150 years old, they still wouldn't be able to get out of that mentality, because that's the level of consciousness that they have chosen largely, but that's also the experience there. Everybody is always engaged in their experience in every moment. Every single moment, every action that happens, your higher self is engaged there. That's like saying like your subconscious or your dream space, your infinite soul purpose is not engaged during this event or something like that. There's always, you are there all the time. The Most High is there all the time in every event and experience. It's difficult to see that because of how extreme this place is, how crazy this place can be, from how loving a lot of the people are. When you can see some of the most devastating shit happen to people, that's the challenge. But the closer you connect with your soul essence and the experience overall from the highest perspectives, the easier it'll be to see how these things are connecting. And the more we question our reality, see, a lot of the things like rigidness, see, like answers are rigid and they will break when something challenges your reality. Questioning your reality is movable. It constantly adjusts and expands with the level of consciousness. It won't break. It will expand with each experience. That's the flexibility of consciousness. So if you're constantly looking for answers, then you will constantly fail. You will constantly be rigid, and shit will break within your hands or in your mind all the time, because you grasp onto it. You got it. You understand it. This is what the New Age is. The New Age, this is why the New Age mentality gives you the answers. It says extraterrestrials are going to come and save the day. Extraterrestrials are going to do this, and you're love and light. You're not all that other stuff. You're just this. These are these answers that system promotes for you to lock yourself into that system. But you have to break that in order to get into the higher, the expanded consciousness outside of that community or that vibration of limitation. So the level of consciousness has reached a particular level, and the so-called powers that be know this. This is why, the New Age can be activated as such. And what it does is it gives you the answers. And when it gives you the answers, but it doesn't take into account your journey, your soul purpose, your experience. Not everybody's journey and experience is going to be the same. Like I explained from the Gnostic perspective of the soul, the mind, and the body, and how people are on different levels of consciousness and experiences within that realm, within those realms. The New Age it just burns all of that up in order to get more people vested in that. It says, no, you can understand the spirit, you can have a spiritual experience, and all you have to do is think like this, and talk like this, and read this book, and listen to this person, and go to this channeling, and think about your stars, and think about the extraterrestrials, and think about the future, and all this fluffy ass shit that they put out there for you. Those are the answers. These are synthetic answers that don't take into account the individual. It's a pop spiritual experience, a mainstream spiritual experience. And it's designed to keep people in that space and never really have any work done for themselves. So this is why you have so many people who are locked into the New Age frame of thought that are really materialistic, or really have a lot of psychological problems a lot of the times. And they close a lot of these gaps with, love and light and all that other shit. So they can have high, like, I've even seen a lot of people in the New Age community with like having all kinds of like plastic surgery done. They're like, so these are the short circuits that happen when you jump out of order and start to adopt synthetic connections and calling it like the natural reality. When you go out of order, meaning out of order in a sense that you have work you need to do on your body, with your body consciousness. You have work you need to do with your mind consciousness. And you have work you need to do on your soul consciousness. And if you just think that, you can just jump into the crown chakra or your soul consciousness and just do only that work for the rest of your life because it feels good, or whatever it is that you convince yourself is the reason for that, then you're creating more gaps in your reality. And those gaps need to be filled with something. And they usually get filled with whatever it is that the community is telling you, or since you're insecure, you fill it with some kind of security. So you can fill it with whatever security, like Ancient Aliens is a form of security. The Channelers is a form of security. Constantly keeping you out in the idea of the future. Constantly keeping your focus on other people, channelers, gurus. So the New Age overall is like a guru like a self-serving guru. That's what the New Age community can be seen as. It's like a self-serving guru. It doesn't give a shit ultimately about the people. It only means to protect and a lot of the times make money for itself, or his or herself, at the expense of other people's insecurities. So they keep people insecure. This is what the New Age is. It keeps you focusing on extraterrestrials. That's another form of keeping you insecure. Constantly waiting on the world to change around you, because you don't understand that the universe actually exists inside of you. And like, I remember Alan Watts said in one of his talks, he said, if you can be tricked, what did he say? Then it's something to the extent of, if you can be tricked, then you should be tricked. Because that's the only way that you're going to get out of that shit, or realize it. Or, yeah, you see what I'm saying there. Not like some kind of like malevolent space, but That's how these fake ass gurus make money. That's how this system makes money. It's like, if you're dumb enough, if you're for lack of a better word, if your consciousness is down there in that needy space, insecure space, then, and you choose that reality, shit, then that's like people who are hard-headed. Like, I used to be really hard-headed, and I would have to learn things the hard way. You understand what that is, when you have to learn something the hard way. But that goes that ain't no different in so-called spiritual communities. There will be so-called conscious people or spiritual people who would take advantage of your ass. And this is how I'm seeing what the new age experience is overall. The new age mentality is this synthetic, self-serving guru that's largely just another version of mind control to keep you externalizing your reality, externalizing your consciousness, your experience, your infinite soul purpose, so that another entity can make money or profit, or can overall just take your energy, can parasite off of you. Point being is that you already are who you are. It's just a matter of figuring out who you are, what your meaning, what's your purpose. It's not outside of you. There's nothing that's outside of you. Everything that you are, that you need, that is your love, is inside of you already. And since the materialistic realm is so convincing, the external reality is so convincing, and it's also the magic, the illusion of this realm that's being used to control people, then there's all these layers of control that we don't see, because we accept them as the reality. So when you accept something as the reality, that's like giving you the answer. That's like the answer. So when you start accepting things as the reality, you will have people who will try to give you those answers to control or profit off of your energy in some kind of way. And if your consciousness is based upon people giving you the answers or getting the answers, then there will be people that take advantage of you, because they already know that shit. But when you start questioning your reality, that's when people will never be able to get one over on you, because you will constantly be expanding your awareness and your consciousness. And as you expand and expand your consciousness and awareness, the so-called answers will naturally come into place. So a so-called real world example of this could be realizing the connections that NASA has with the government, and realizing the control of the mind control programs of the heliocentric model, and the lack of credibility overall of that system, how they've lied to you to control you, forever. So if that's real, that doesn't necessarily give you the answer that the globe is, that the earth is flat. That doesn't mean just because but it sure enough does give you a hell of a good foundation to realize that, maybe they are full of shit. And if they are full of shit, then what does that imply? So you start questioning the globe model. You start questioning the education system. You start questioning evolutionism and the Big Bang Theory and the government system. You start questioning all of this. And then the answers, so-called answers, start to materialize on their own through moments of, oh, So it's not something that you can really like say, oh, that's it. But you have a better grasp on your reality because your reality is not based upon artificial answers or giving people the answers. Your reality is based upon being open to questioning how things might be. So when people ask me about like books that I read or stuff like that, and like people that I listen to, it's not really about that overall. Like I have read some books and listened to some people over time. Like I mentioned, Alan Watson's Jiddu Krishnamurti and Dr. Phil Valentine and Dr. Ben and Dr. Francis Cress Welsing. Like all those people help you get to a certain point. Just like they're just like tools in a sense. Just like cannabis allows you to get high. But once you max out the vibration of that perspective, because cannabis can be seen as a perspective in a sense that it's you that's getting high. So you are a perspective. So once you get high enough from that tool, what's higher than that high maxed out by that tool? Well, that's you getting yourself high. How? How can you do that? What is that? What are you? Who are you? And then going even further on that. See, all this new age stuff, it just makes you, it gives you more tools. And this is where crystals come in and the love and light perspective and all this stuff has a meaning and a purpose. I'm not saying that crystals don't matter and they don't work and all that other stuff. And I'm saying that they have a meaning and a purpose, but you are always the experiencer that is the main focus of your expansion. You are more complex than any tool can ever show you. You are more complex than any tool can take you. So how? That's the question. How are you going to go there or do that? And that's up to each individual and each soul journey. So that's basically what I wanted to share with this video, is to go from the conscious and the subconscious that I had mentioned in reference to the divine feminine and the divine masculine perspectives, and expand it to the various groups of people who are also on another journey of the soul, the mind, and the body, all inhabiting the balances of the divine feminine and the divine masculine, but also being on their own journey of breaking through the body complex, breaking through the mind control, and breaking into the soul essence and understanding what that music is. Because that's and seeing that completely and seeing how complex that is another way to to feel more positive, I guess, about this entire situation, because there is no way in hell that you can make sense of any of it. It's not meant to make sense. It's meant to be experienced. So when people get down about, like, I don't think people are going to wake up. I don't think people are waking up. So that's you holding on to something. It's you having an expectation or a judgment on something that doesn't even understand itself. Like, I could see where it's coming from. It's like, oh yeah, there's not a hope and chance in the fucking world that this shit is going to change because people are fucking nuts. Or people are locked in, whatever it is, however you see it, that's still you seeing something that's infinitely complex and infinitely individual. So at the same time that it's an overall humanity thing. So if that's all working as one, then you really got to kind of let go of that expectation and just do you. Like, play your music, do what you do. And continue expanding your perspectives so we don't weigh ourselves down with that hopelessness, with that those dense ass energies based upon somebody that's in a body complex, or somebody that's chosen a mind complex, that could potentially live and die, who have chosen to live and die ultimately energetically within that experience, to never even question the reality as a whole, to never even tap into the reality of a soul essence or whatever it is. Some people came here to be the CEO of, or the manager, the assistant manager of Burger King, the assistant manager of Home Depot. That's what they love to do. That's their choice in many ways. And if you have expanded your consciousness outside of, if you see that as like a mind control, which is, you can, because that's like, it's a destructive reality to be stuck into something like that. But that's another way of seeing another judgment or expectations. Like, they're stuck, or they're not really stuck. Everybody's on their journey and will make it through. Like, I used to work at Home Depot. I used to work here. I used to be in the military. I used to do all kinds of things that could be seen as me being stuck, and as a sense I was. But all that has its own time. Like, you have your biological clock, you have a soul clock, and each person has their time. And the only thing you can really do is make yourself present for people, to be more, without having expectations or judgments on that, because that will have people shut down. People will shut down when you project your everything onto them based upon what you think they should be doing, as opposed to just sharing what it is that you are, for the essence of who you are, and then being aware of, the moment to where it's just like, well, okay, this is the timing of it all, because people will shut down. It happens with conversations. People do this in conversations all the time. So you know what I'm talking about. There's a time to get involved or get engaged in conversations, and then there's a time to just be like, oh, well, there it is. That was the wall. But that happens. You can expand that out to each and every soul experience, and see that it's not based upon comparison. It's not based upon your version of time. Like, we're running out of time. Well, who told you that? What clock are you looking at? Based upon what? Time is just another answer. Like, people, you're running out of time. Well, who told you that? What time? So, yeah. I think I went on long enough with this one. So thank you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you again for the support. From people commenting, sharing, and liking the videos. I appreciate that. So, until next time, from all my relations, peace, love,